Clear skies, everyone. I have privilege today to talk with Jack Fitzmier. Welcome, Jack.
Hello, good to see you, Joseph.
Um, Jack, let me ask you why you are astronomer. How it happened in your life that you are interested in astronomy?
Well, I wasn't trained as a scientist. I did theological studies, and as kind of a hobby, I started to watch the TV program called The Universe. And I was living in Atlanta, and I probably watched 50 episodes, and I just was fascinated by it. This was the old one that used to be on the History Channel, and this was about 2007 or 2008. And I was watching, and my wife said to me one evening when I was watching, why there must be some kind of a club. There must be an astronomy club in Atlanta. And I went and found an astronomy club, and I didn't know a soul there. I just walked into the meeting, and I thought the meeting was a little raucous. It was sort of unorganized, and everybody seemed to know one another. But in that club, the custom was to observe after the evening's meeting. They had a field just adjacent to this conference center. So I went, never having looked through a telescope, I went out and a guy said to me, "Hey, have you ever seen Jupiter?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, come here." And I saw Jupiter and I was hooked. It was all over. And I saw the moons and I just thought this is fantastic. And that's how I got started and was real active in the Atlanta club. And then when I retired here to to the Madison area, I'm involved in our club. But yeah, it was
Wow,
just that one site. One person invited me to look at Jupiter, and there it was.
this is really interesting. So basically, you said 2007 or something like that?
Yeah, this was by then. This was probably this was probably 2010 by the time this happened
Okay,
because
okay.
I remember I remember starting the Astronomical League observing programs in 2011 or 2012.
Okay. So we are talking about 15, 16, 17 years or something like that,
Yeah.
which is pretty recent. So wow, this is good story. And considering this, and you got actually this year newsletter award. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
How I mean, you are editor. How it happened that you are actually newsletter editor, and my understanding is you restarted that. What is story behind that?
Well, I don't know why I suspect the reason that newsletters go out of print is that the editors can't get members to submit articles.
Mhm,
And I think that's what happened in Madison. I don't know they had a newsletter maybe in 2012 or something, and then it stopped. So
mhm, mhm,
our president was every month putting out this huge email before the meeting, and they had notes and directions and so forth, announcements. And I saw him on the observing field one night, and I said, "Lawrence, your email is almost becoming a newsletter.
mhm.
It's so long, it has so much detail. Do you think we could start a newsletter again?" Well, like every good president, he said, "Why, of course. Would you like to do it?" So I said, "Sure." And I had talked with some other members in the club, and I knew there was some interest. Um, that's how it started, and we do ours quarterly, so we just had our seventh issue. Come around the holiday season, we'll have completed two years, um, and
Mhm,
I'm very fortunate because um, it we've had over 20 members submit book reviews, articles, interviews. There's been a very positive response in terms of participation. And I have
mhm,
two partners who are kind of silent partners. We do ours with PDF,
mhm,
and We do it in Apple Pages when we started. And I didn't know Pages. I was a Microsoft Word person, but one of my friends is a Pages person, and it's much more graphic. And he's very good at it. So we call him the Tetris editor because he
Mhm.
squeezes everything and puts the puzzle together. That's his job. And then we have another person who was not a trained editor, but he worked in the newspaper business, but he actually is
Mm.
a natural. So he
Okay.
he reads stuff and asks the most piercing questions that as an editor, it really helps me think about things. So I have two kind of quiet partners,
Wow.
and
So you have team.
yeah, we have a team, and we have some people who have agreed to do something every time. So we have an interview with a member, spotlight on member, and that the person who does that interview is the same person, just like you doing these interviews.
Mhm. Mhm.
We also have some. I'm very conscious of trying to write to edit something that has something for everyone, if that makes sense. We have 140 members in our club.
Okay.
Um, so our newsletter I try to make it introduction of new members. So that interview is very helpful. We have people that work at the university that are retired faculty who are scientists. So we'll almost always have a scientific kind of article. In the last issue, we have a fellow who built a radio telescope, and he's from his backyard in Madison is trying to think about the shape of the Milky Way and where we are in the Milky Way, and can you tell that with the radio telescope?
Wow.
Um, and we have book reviews, so it can kind of be all over the place. And I try to keep it that I try to make sure that in every issue we have some kind of something for everyone. And I'm very fortunate because we have people who are enthusiastic about writing. So
So let me rephrase it. So we are talking about Madison Astronomical Society, right?
yes,
And you have 140
40,
members.
140, I think 150 last year at the
And
end of the year.
and what do you do in your newspaper? You do interview, but not like this chat interview, but written, basically article interview
Right,
with either new member or
right.
some other member. This is really interesting. What do you do? Because I believe that it's important, that people has actually their voice, that people can speak out and publish what they are thinking. Excellent.
And it's interesting to me because when we're together in a club meeting, I don't know what this person did professionally or if they're retired, but that always comes up.
Mhm.
So I've been surprised. Oh, I didn't know so and so did that for a living. So it's been a very interesting way to have club members get to know one another.
Mhm. Interesting. And your newsletter has name uh, Capital Skies, right?
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you know why it has name like this?
It's because we're the capital of
Oh,
Wisconsin.
oh,
Madison is the capital of Wisconsin. And
okay,
if you've been to Madison, one of the defining things in the skyline is the Capitol building.
okay.
So Capitol Skies and that was the name of the old newsletter that we stopped doing. So we just kept the name. Um,
And
and it's
my understanding is, speaking about Madison, I know that you live close by to some other city, Verona,
yes,
and Verona is known, to everyone as a through Epic software.
right.
Everyone who is in the healthcare industry, they know that software. We have to talk a little bit because I am in Rochester, Minnesota, with Mayo Clinic, so I am aware of that as well. Uh, is there anything interesting from astronomy point of view in Verona?
Well, they have at Epic. They do have one of their centers. Each center, each building, they're enormous buildings. Each one has a theme, and there is a space-related one. I don't know much about it, but one of theirs is they have a Harry Potter one. They have one that's based on a farmhouse. They have one that's based
Mhm.
on space, and it's an interesting place. It's just a couple miles from here. Very interesting place. And one of our newer members who just earned is getting very close to earning a binocular master award from the Astronomical League. Is a I think maybe even 25-year veteran at Epic. He's worked there, and
Nice.
it's an interesting place. So yeah, the other thing I do in the newsletter that I've tried to do because I'm interested in the observing programs from the league. We for many months every issue featured one of the programs. So an in-depth talk about binocular program or the lunar program. I can't remember all that we've done. The Messiers, I know I wrote on the Messiers, just a one-page description of what the program's like. And I was afraid that it wasn't being paid attention to. And suddenly I learned just this week that three of our members have earned awards. And that hasn't happened for a long time from the Madison
Yeah.
Club.
Well, this is great idea, to talk about those league programs, because
Yeah.
they are great programs, and you are master observer yourself. So what did you do?
I I like many people, I suppose, I tried to use the time during COVID to best advantage. So I did a lot of remote programs during
Mhm.
COVID using SLU and the Sierra Skies Network, and did probably 8 or 10 during those couple years. But yeah, the master progression is a challenge, um, and it took me 12 years, 13 years to do all the programs. You need 10, but I think I've done 32 now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I enjoy doing them. I'm just working on one today, so I enjoy them a lot.
And my understanding is that basically, as soon as you will finish 10, you are master observer, right?
Yes, there are 10, there's a collection of 10. I think of five of them as requirements,
Okay.
and then any other five of the programs. And because of the way I did it by interest, I wasn't always working on those 10. I was working on something else. It's just kind of where I wanted to spend my time. So I finally finished. The hardest one is that there's a required one called the Herschel 400.
Yeah.
Typically, it's a 100 targets for a program. The Herschel 400 is a doozy, and they're 400 targets. It took me a long time to get that one done.
I can imagine. And my understanding is that you are also a coordinator of solar and neighborhood observing program,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
what is special about solar and what is special about the neighborhood?
Well, the neighborhood is the program is each program has a theme and some particular requirements. So the solar neighborhood program is the challenge is to observe 100 of our closest stars that are closest to our solar system.
Mhm.
And you can do it. There are several levels. You can do it naked eye. You can do it with binoculars. You can do it with telescope. You can do it with imaging. There are a couple other assignments. You have to observe Barnard's star, which moves slightly over the course of a year, and have a log. I like the programs because I can remember when I began to observe, I would go out and get a telescope set up and then say to myself, well, what do I do now? What do I look at? I like the structured character of the programs to say, oh, I'm doing double stars. So here are the 10 double stars I hope to see tonight, something like that. And I like it because it's peer reviewed and it's not just you saying, oh, I looked at these things, but
Mhm.
someone examines your logbook and it happens not routinely, but sometimes someone will say, "Oh, you've made an error here. you didn't see this, or, can you clarify more your comments? That happens
So,
occasionally.
so let me ask you, so that somebody has to be in your club, right?
Yes, you have to be a member of the league, and sometimes the observer gives the Alcor, the correspondent. I happen to be the correspondent for the Madison Club. Sometimes they give the log to me,
Hmm.
and I send it off to the
Okay.
coordinator. And in some clubs, the presentation of the award happens in the meeting. I don't know how you do it at Rochester. Um, we haven't had a lot of awards made, but our president has just said to me, Jack, when someone earns an award, let's recognize them in the club. Let's at our club meeting. So I think we're going to begin that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we do it exactly in the same way. Unfortunately, we don't have too many awards, but maybe in future.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there were none for a long time in Madison, so we have now three or four. So.
Okay. Um, do you do any photography or something like that?
I've become a real fan of the Sea Star. I have a Sea Star 50, and
Okay.
I really have enjoyed it. I have done other things with cameras and with imaging, but the Sea Star is a really interesting phenomenon. And there are a number. I think smart telescopes are kind of taking amateur astronomy by storm in a way. It really the Sea Star, I think, is a very easy entry point. And for someone to say, look, I took a photograph of the Andromeda Galaxy, and here it is. And I took that photograph. That's not quite that simple because the Smart Scope does an awful lot, as you know. But yeah, so I've done a lot of work with the Sea Star and enjoyed it very much. It's very popular in the Madison Club.
Uh, except Sea Star, do you have any other telescope or?
Yes, I have several. That's I have a collection of scopes. The one that I've used most is an Explore Scientific 102. So it's a refractor. Um,
Oh, okay.
but I need to do a solar H alpha program, and I'm going to need to find a good H alpha telescope. So I've been kind of thinking about the next telescope.
Okay, okay. Well, it's amazing, that we have even H alpha telescopes nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. And what about observatory? So your club has observatory or not?
We don't have a building. We have a dark sky site with a
Oh, okay.
clubhouse and several, I think 14 concrete pads. It's about a half hour south of Madison. In the 8 years that I've been using the site, I think I can tell that light pollution has affected it.
Hmm.
So we're like every place we're dealing with light pollution. It is they're very good skies, but it's not as dark as it used to be.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the club has run that site for many, many years, decades now. It's called the Yana Research Station, south of
Okay.
south of Madison.
I know that cities like Flagstaff in Arizona, there is famous observatory, so they have some regulation about light pollution. Are you trying with your club to talk to city about light pollution, or is
Yes.
there any other organization?
There is I think they've changed their name now. It was the International Dark Sky Association. The fellow who does our programming is named John Rummel. John is a former president, and John is very active with Wisconsin Dark Skies. I
Mhm.
think our chapter is now called Wisconsin Dark Sky. And there have been conversations with the Madison City Council about the same thing as Flagstaff. Flagstaff seems to be um, uh, an illustration of a pretty big city that is adopted these things.
Yes.
think maybe the largest city in the US that's done something about it. But I don't know where things are politically. I know there's also been conversations with the little town I live in called Verona. Um, but John is the expert and has done a number of presentations to our club and other clubs about dark sky issues.
Mhm. What is in in your plate in close future? What you are going to do in astronomy?
Well, I as you know, there's a called a master progression, so you can become a master observer, and then there are a few more steps after that that you can take. So I have kind of a developed bucket list of things that I want to do, and you can get a gold master and silver master and so forth. And I'm slowly working my way along there. It's our skies haven't been very cooperative lately in Wisconsin. And I had a dark sky site in Atlanta that I went to a lot and I really miss it. Um, but yeah, so I have to undertake a sketching program, which I've never done, and I it seems kind of intimidating to me. And I have to do this H alpha program. If I get those two done, then I take another step along the path.
Well, Jack, I wish you clear skies for those
Thank
future
you.
programs, and it
Thank
was
you.
very nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, very much. I enjoyed